What's going on? My day-to-day people. Got my people with me, huh? Got my people with me. Another blessed day, another day to serve the Lord, continue to love the Lord, bless the Lord, bless one another, love one another, all right? So we're going to speak about patience with all men, patience with all women, right? So there's one thing we got to understand about ourselves and this fight. And when I say fight, that's what it is. It's a battle. There's spiritual warfare. We see that with the school shootings and everything that's going on right now. It's spiritual warfare, right? Not only is it spiritual warfare circulating around the world, a spiritual warfare is circulating within your own body, right? So one thing that we're going to hit on today is temperance. And we're going to see that by the fruit of the Spirit, that's in Galatians 5:22, is temperance. So within temp, you see T-E-M-P, right? You see that in temperature, right? We hear it all the time. Oh, this dude got me heated. Oh, they got me heated, blah, blah, blah. Temperature, hone that, tone that. How you tone that is if you see that you have a problem with how you handle things, right? You pray about it. And before you know it, when you read this word and you really give your all, I'm talking about your mind, your heart, your body, when you really give that all to Christ, these things that you struggle with, they're not there anymore. And all praises for that. All praises for that. So this battle, you have to think, who are you fighting? Because you're not fighting the devil. The devil has already been defeated. He's been defeated through Christ. All praises for that. So this battle that you're fighting, you're fighting against yourself, right? You're fighting this flesh versus spiritual battle within yourself. So that's what you're training for. It's like a boxing match. You got to train, all right? So if you got to train for this temperance, you're going to have to hit the books harder, right? You have to hit the books harder. All praises. So let's go ahead and hit it. Galatians 5:22. And another thing about the fruit of the Spirit is whenever you're talking to people about the Most High or Jesus, within this criteria of what we're about to go over, we'll let you know who you're talking to. Let that marinate. 5:22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. 24. And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. So that's another thing that temperance will fit under, all right? So it's basically checking yourself, not only for your attitudes, just the emotions behind a lot of things. It's temperance, self-control. All praises. 25, if we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. 26, let us not be desirous of vain glory, provoking one another, envying one another. That's so easy to do, right? It's so easy to poke and prod at somebody. It's so easy to push somebody's buttons, especially if you have knowledge of what their buttons are. It's easy to do that, but that's why we have to be difference makers, right? You're either going to be the problem or the solution, okay? So let's go to 1 Thessalonians. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, we're going to start at verse 11. Wherefore, comfort yourselves together and edify one another, even as also you do. And we beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord and admonish you. Okay, so whenever you're admonished through temperance, with temperance, self-control, if you're being admonished or disciplined, however the case may be, coached, or wherever the term comes from, where somebody is speaking on you from an infraction that you have done, with temperance, you understand how to maneuver through that differently. Right? With self-control, you understand not to fly off the mouth, especially if you know you're in the wrong. Right? You know, the way I live my life, I don't want to ever not apologize to somebody if I ever went against them, whether it's the Lord or human being, right? Because I do not know when is the next time I'm going to see that person if I caused an infraction and I did not apologize, right? That's the last thing I want to hear. The Lord look at me and says, well, what happened with this guy? And I never did apologize for it. Could you imagine the grief, right? Like me, I just feel convicted thinking about it. So I'm going to apologize if I do wrong, right? Whether it's to the Lord or whether it's to a human being. All praises. Oh man, all praises to the Holy Spirit. 12, 13. And to esteem them very highly in love for their work's sake, and be at peace among yourselves. So when you discipline, when you admonish, rather you are being disciplined or admonish. The way it goes, say if you're disciplining a child, right? And so you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to have to take these things from you. Not only am I going to take these things from you, I have to see character development in order for me to give these things back to you. However, I do like that you possess good manners. So you're sprinkling little bits of love in there through the discipline, through the admonish. If that makes sense. 14. Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient towards all men. So we have to be patient towards all men, period. We have to understand. People are either driven by enjoying this water, this bread that comes through Christ, or enjoying the cares of the world. So we have to be patient with all men. Whether you're spiritual or not, you're going to have a bad day. All right? So being patient with all men, we do not understand what people are going through on a day-to-day basis. We don't understand what how they operate, how they maneuver. And some people, we get to the point where they're like, okay, you feel you may have some type of higher intellectual capability and think differently. And, you can't think like that. Right? So even if you did think like that, you have to understand that people are not on your level. Right? Regardless of how much you go into this book, how much you know this book, a lot of people are not on your level. So with them not being on your level, you have to be patient with all men. All praises. Now let's go to 2 Peter. Let's look at 2 Peter. 2 Peter chapter 1. Let's see. 2 Peter chapter 1. Let's start in 3. According as his divine power have given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness through the knowledge of him that have called us to glory and virtue, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these you might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. And what is one thing that lust is like a magnet. So what is one thing that lust attracts? It attracts your flesh. All right? So within this battle, this boxing training regimen that we have against ourselves, if the world is attracting our flesh, that's where temperance, self-control, that are the same thing. So with temperance, you have to practice temperance. You have to understand and have a thought process. Okay, what is making me want to lust after this, lust after that? And lust doesn't have to necessarily mean of lust after another flesh. That's a form of it, yes. But it could be lust after money. It could be lust after power. It could be lust after control, greed, manipulation. There's a lot of things that lust just fits in the same realm or criteria as. So with self-control, with temperance, that's how you fight against it. Through the precious Lord, Jesus Christ. Galatians 5:22, the fruit of the Spirit. You have the step-by-step guidelines to fight against these things, to fight against that magnet, because I promise you, that magnet will pull as much as the flesh desires out of you as it can. But if you hone and practice and go through your day-to-day life with Christ, it makes it a little much harder for that magnet to attract your flesh. You have to put things off. You have to put off a lot of things. And if it was so easy, everybody would be a believer. If it was that easy. But the flesh is one thing we have to put away. Man, all right, so where did I leave off at? Sorry for rambling. Lust, okay. 5, and beside this, giving all diligence. Now listen to this. Add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge, and to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness. Now notice what this word said. It says 5, back at 5. And beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge, and to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness. So with the temperance, with the self-control, then you see patience come right along with it. All right. There was many things that I struggled with, and I still struggle. I'm a sinner. I'm nowhere near perfect, right? But one thing that I can sit here and say on this camera is that I do not smoke marijuana anymore, right? And I used to blow every day. I just felt like I had to have it. I just had to have it. So when I used to just smoke these blunts every day, and I got into this word, it wasn't anything that was forced. It was eventually shaved off. And all praises to the Most High through His Son Jesus Christ for that, because there was a lot of things that I used to struggle with that was eventually shaved off. And this is what this word is saying. Okay, let's go back to it again. And beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge. So with the knowledge, I knew that, okay, it's wrong to smoke. And so with the knowledge that it's with this temperance, once this knowledge comes to you on temperance, say if you just felt like, okay, if somebody come against me, it's only right for me to put their hands on them. It's only right for me to smack them back. It's only right for me to talk about their mama. It's only right for me to do these other things because knowledge has not came to your home. So once knowledge hits this right here, your temperance becomes altered and you're like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, that's wrong. I got to figure out a way to maneuver around this differently. All praises. All praises. And to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness charity. So love, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that's going to help with the temperance. It's love. It's understanding that, okay, I have to love this person regardless of how they come against me. I can go through here and whistle and sing and feed the crows and feed the dogs and feed all types of other animals out here, but yet somebody's still going to come against me. And that's where you're tried at. You're tried within this battle within yourself. And it's a battle, you have to think, once again, Christ has already defeated Satan. So Satan is miserable. He wants to bring as much people as he can down with him. How does he do that? Through flesh. Right? Much love. Peace.